Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I cannot be any more grateful. Our Crosstalk podcast is now available online. You can go and check it out. We kicked it off last night. It's available on YouTube and, of course, our Facebook page. If you're ever needed a meeting or just want to sit and listen in on a conversation, encourage you to swing by and check out these podcasts. So last night we actually kicked it off with a topic, relatively the same topic, a little bit different, but same topic that I've been discussing the last couple of days. And before I get into today's topic anyway, I want to make sure you're well aware of this disclaimer. I'm talking about the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, not the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm only talking about the fellowship of AA because that's all I know. I haven't been in any other fellowship, so I can't really speak to it. I haven't been to fellowships, groups, and meetings within NA or anything like that. So I'm only speaking through the lens of Alcoholics Anonymous, the fellowship of AA, and only because that's all I can speak to. So there's my disclaimer. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll continue to say it. The program known as Alcoholics Anonymous is a perfect program for imperfect people just like me. So there's my disclaimer. Yesterday I talked about, I posited the question of should the groups not take stock and evaluate their effectiveness at carrying the message to the newcomer? Should the individual AAers that make up that group, if they're practicing that 12-step, practicing these principles in all of our affairs, if they're doing that, should they not be taking that 10-step review of their day and the things that they do within their day and the way they conduct themselves within their day and also within their meetings, especially if they're responsible for the meeting? And I left off yesterday with how the newcomer can see confusion, because we've inextricably tied the traditions to the steps. And the newcomer, of course, they're a lot smarter than what we give them credit for. They see things that we think they don't see. I can't tell you the number of times I think to myself, well, my wife will never know I'm drinking. And sure enough, my wife knew. So we still have some of that, even the long timers, we still have some of those old ideas, if you will. This is where we get to say the quiet part out loud. And these are difficult conversations to have, but I think they're necessary conversations. And today I want to start with willingness. The willingness to create that spiritual connection, the willingness to change in order to create that spiritual connection. On page 51 of the big book, it says, in the realm of the material, men's minds were fettered by superstition, tradition, and all sorts of fixed ideas. In other words, we're stuck in our ways. We're stuck in the ways that we've always thought, and that's why we were never able to effectively establish that spiritual connection with a power greater than ourselves. That's why Bill wrote chapter 4, after all, right? So we have to be willing to change our thoughts, change our ideas in order to establish that spiritual connection. Because without that spiritual connection, this guy's going to keep on drinking. On page 42 of the big book, Bill even writes, and I think it's at the end of chapter 3 there, Bill even writes, I had to be willing to throw out several lifelong conceptions out the window. So in other words, I have to be willing to change. And in order to create that spiritual connection, in order to stay sober, I have to be willing to think things differently. The only thing you have to change is everything, right? I heard that coming in the rooms. Old keys won't open new doors. But I pose this question now. If we change to create that spiritual connection, wouldn't that also mean that we would have to keep changing in order to maintain one? I mean, sure, you might say how I changed as an individual to get that spiritual connection. And that's fair, I agree. But if we change an old key for the new key, doesn't the new key eventually become an old key? Isn't that how we can possibly lose our spiritual connection? The point here is we must stay changeable. We must stay teachable. And we say this all the time to the newcomers. People must be willing to change, so why not the fellowship? And the newcomers spot hypocrisy. They spot the bullshit. They're a lot smarter than what we give them credit for. We tell them that they have to change, but they see us change absolutely nothing, especially whenever they walk into a meeting or a fellowship hall where it's nothing but a dead, dried up doornail of a meeting and they get absolutely nothing out of it. They see it. And they know that we see it too, but yet they see us do absolutely fucking nothing to change it. And our excuse to them is, well, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way we've always done it. But then we turn right around and we tell them, you have to change. Can't they too come back and say, well, why? This is the way I've always done it. We have to be willing to change. Sure, we can ask the newcomer, but we have to demonstrate that ability to change, that ability to say, hey, look, this is not working. Didn't we say that in our addiction? Didn't we say that in our alcoholism, our drug addiction? If we said that then, that new key that we stuck in the lock and we turned the lock, we opened the door, that new key will eventually become an old key. We have to be willing to change not only ourselves, but the way in which we conduct ourselves, which too means the way in which we conduct our fellowship groups. With that being said, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I cannot be any more appreciative. We'll be talking again soon. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.